Welcome to the Saints Happy Hour podcast, featuring Dave Cariello, Andrew Juge, Ralph Malbrough, and when he decides to show up, Kevin Held. We are the perfect blend of Saints sincerity and stupidity.
How many RPMs would it take for the Julio copter to actually fly away, and how many fumbles would happen as a result?
Well, that's a trick question because you can only fumble once.
If you're not having fun when your team is 11-2 and wins back-to-back division titles for the first time in 50 years, then you need to stop watching.
And now, here's your host, Ralph Malbrough.
Woo! All right, welcome to Saints Happy Hour podcast. As always, we are sponsored by our friends at SeatGeek. They have the best app to get you the tickets you need for events, concerts, sporting events. Their app tells you if it's good, it's a green light. If it's okay, it's a yellow light. If it's Kevin Held trying to sell you fucking tickets written on a napkin, it's a red light. Go there and use the code ACAA and get $20 off your first purchase on them. That's 2 free beers or a nacho helmet at the Astros game if you prefer. That's my thing. Use the code ACAA. Get $20 off your purchase. Life's an event. We have the tickets.
Do I need to start reading these?
You might need to. But first of all,
wait a minute. Is it an adult-sized helmet that the nachos are in? So like when you're done with it, you can wear the helmet?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Wow.
Are the chips like on the rim of the hat? Is that how that
No,
works?
they're in there. They're all in there.
Okay.
So I mean, like you have to go home and clean it first. You can't wear it.
Well, I don't because I'm a pig, but you can if you want.
But so you do it. So
yeah,
you will actually eat nachos out of this and then put it on your head.
I mean, I take it to the back. I take it to the back. I take it to the bathroom and like wipe it down and like take a wet nap and wipe it down, But by the fourth inning, I'm wearing that thing, right? I mean, I paid for it. Come on, Dave, live a little. So, because we are an important Saints podcast and we are serious and people know that we give the hard information, and because we have sponsors, great sponsors like SeatGeek and JD Hot Sauce and other sponsors that have been wonderful to us, we had to have a meeting this week because we have a potential other sponsor. I got the email. I was really excited about it. I'm just going to read it. I really visit your blog repeatedly and read all your posts, which are quite interesting. One of our sites is all about sex and sex toys. We usually work a lot to inform our visitors. These types of details will be useful for those that search for the same info. We are both websites in the same niche arena. That's true. We recently provide a free, complete infographics about the Master Sex Swing Guide. If you are interested in our sponsorship, please reach out to me. So, I mean, I'll leave it up to you guys.
Where would we put their infographic? We're gonna put that like on the YouTube channel or something.
I mean, we could. I'm sure they have the infographic built for us. So, like Kevin, we turned down the guy who wanted to do his Armageddon gun rights manifesto. He's the only ad we've ever turned down in the history of the podcast.
I kind of wish we didn't turn it down.
But that was political. This
isn't hurting anybody. Sex swing never hurt anybody.
Well, there might be some stuff that hurts people.
Right, but it's consensual.
I'm going to put it on the I'm going to put it in the poll in the chat room. Should we accept sex toy money? Choice 1, yes. Choice 2, yes. Choice 3, no. So, what do we think? I mean, it's one thing to say, well, I'd like to talk to my friends about it, to you about our friends at SeatGeek or whatever, but our friends at, Ball Gags and Whips Emporium.
Here you go, guys. You think Coach Payton is riding people hard in training camp? Wait till you ladies try this Sybian machine.
A what machine?
If you donate $5 a month, you can get a free nipple clamp with Saints Happy Hour podcast on it.
Wait, a what? What did Kevin say? A what machine?
I believe it's pronounced Sybian machine.
What is that? What is that? What is that?
Do you really want to know? I don't know what it is, and I'm not asking.
I'm googling it. How do you spell that? With a C or an S?
It's with an S. It's S and a Y.
Okay, I got it.
I mean, I think as the kids like to say, Kevin just told on himself. I don't know. We make no judgments here.
Yeah.
Listen, I'm the single.
Kevin thought that was more common knowledge than it really was, and now he's been outed. Oh, the website says it's the ride of your life. Okay, I know. I see what it is now. I see what it is.
It's the ride of your life, and it ain't Six Flags. You know what I'm saying?
I've seen that before.
Hey, listen, we don't discriminate at the Saints Happy Hour podcast. We're inclusive.
No, Andrew and Ralph remember random Saints players who only were in training camp in 1985, and Kevin knows about Sybian machines. So everybody's got their talent.
Yeah,
everybody brings it. Everybody brings it to the podcast.
I
guess how much this stuff costs.
Hey, Kevin Hauser is a person too.
Sybian is like a name brand too, so Kevin really knows his shit. Like Sybian is like.
I did not know that. All I knew was just that's what some of those videos were called.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Can I just say when I got the email and I tweeted it out on the Saints Happy Hour? Can I just say how happy I was and proud of what we've made this podcast, where people made jokes about it literally like half the day. People were just tweeting out their own little ad copy that they create. It was fantastic. It might have been my proudest moment of this show ever.
All right, these things go for $1,200.
Well, yeah, you're paying for quality, Dave.
You're paying for the name because they're the name, they're the brand. If you're buying a machine that you're gonna rub your vagina on, this is the one you're gonna get.
Whoa, easy.
Whoa. Use class.
That's where we cross the line.
Keep it classy, buddy.
They are the jet ski. They are the jet ski of masturbatory fun.
Happens every time one of those dancers start poontanging around.
That was oddly appropriate, I guess. I don't know. I'm not sure why you had that lined up. And in what situation you thought that was going to be useful, but
I don't know, Dave. I just liked it, and I've been waiting. I've been waiting for a year to drop that in at the right moment, and there it was. All right,
nailed it.
So,
mentioned anything about the Saints yet?
We got the bracket to do, but first, I'm not going to I was going to start off with something else, but I'm going to segue to something that's a little less downtrodden than what I was going to start with. The Saints, Dave, actually are about to cut a deal with the state of Louisiana to stretch the lease out to 2035 and do like $500 million renovation to the dome.
Yeah, and then some asshole on Twitter that writes for the Falcons starts insulting us, saying that our stadium's a dump.
Oh, I gave him a burn like never before. He didn't even. I fired at him. He didn't even respond to me.
Is that like a thing now? You have a new stadium in your city, like one of 7 cities that has a new stadium, and then you just get to trash everyone else.
Well,
like any city that doesn't have a brand new stadium is awful.
Here's the thing. It's Jeff Schultz from The Athletic, and here's the thing about him, and here's the thing about all media. The media thinks the Superdome is a fucking dump because all the media cares about is the food good in the press box, and does the team in that stadium treat me nice? And if the Saints had 5-star food in the press box, people could fucking die in the stands, and the media would say the Superdome was wonderful. Like, they don't like the Superdome because the elevator's slow, it's super cold in the press box, and the food is kind of mediocre. So they think the stadium is a dump. That's just the media. Kevin? Am I wrong?
I do not believe you are.
But I mean,
I've been to three NFL stadiums in my life. I've been to FedEx Field for the Redskins. I've been to Ericsson Field, whatever it is now, for the Panthers, and I've been to the Superdome. And the Superdome in its current state is way better than the other two. So small sample size. I haven't been to the fancy Cowboy Stadium or the fancy Falcon Stadium, but like, call it a dump if you want. But I've been to 3 NFL stadiums, and it's the best of the 3. So, again, like I just find it so annoying that great you're in the one.
Oh no.
Thing I've ever heard in my life.
I think that's a lot of money. I mean, how much would it cost to build a new stadium?
Probably $1 billion.
Right. So I mean, you're sinking half of that into renovating. I mean, I would think that would go a long way. I mean, look, the Superdome isn't perfect by any means. I think they're going to do something with the ramps. To getting up to like the 600 level. You guys as kids, when you went to games, you probably remember those ramps fondly. Walking up and down those ramps. But
hey, Ralph, is the stream offline, by the way?
No, the stream it hiccuped for a minute, but according to me, it is fine.
Okay.
But I think they're going to be maybe getting rid of those ramps, and I mean it's outdated. Like if you built a stadium today, you're not going to build a stadium with ramps like that. I mean, I feel like inside the actual, once you're in the stadium and you're in your seat, I feel like the game day experience is fine. The new larger screens, definitely a big upgrade. Definitely, I think they're fine now. It's fine. And this is New Orleans. We don't like change. We fear change, and we have a reverence for old buildings and old things. So I feel like it'll be a cold day in hell before the citizens of New Orleans ever agree to tear down the Superdome and build something new. We're too nostalgic of a people to do that.
Can I jump in real quick? I've been inside the Dallas Stadium. I was in the Dallas Stadium for WrestleMania. I don't even remember which one it was now. I think it was 32. And let me tell you, that experience, the experience of getting inside and getting to your seat, that was kind of a pain in the ass. Like that was for a lot of people. The experience of getting inside the building for that event was an absolute nightmare and a clusterfuck. And there was a lot of bitching and complaining about that. And the AT&T Stadium people, I don't know if Jerry was fully in charge of that, but they got shit on, and rightfully. I mean, look, it's a bit that thing that hangs from the ceiling. That's cool. That's great. You walk around, you can find somebody that'll sell you a beer or a pretzel pretty fucking quick. But getting in and out, fucking sucked. Getting in and out, like, really, really sucked. Like, and that building is located, like, in the middle of nowhere in Dallas. I know that sounds weird to say it's located in the middle of nowhere in Dallas, but you could probably put Walt fucking Disney World in the parking lot. It's that big. It's a fucking concrete paved nightmare. I mean, with the Superdome.
Yeah, you can get in and out.
Right, you can get in and out, but at the same time, it's like, okay, suppose you just want to walk to the stadium. Fine, you walk to the stadium, you walk out. There's stuff you can walk to fairly quickly. If that's your cup of tea, you go right to it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I just don't think you can call it a dump if you want, but I don't think that's really taking into appreciation the fan experience. And overall, I think it rates pretty high marks compared to other stadiums from what I've read and what I've seen.
That's just people. I mean, the guy that did that was a Falcons fan. That's a guy trying to score points. He's scoring points like Steph Curry's dunking. It ain't fucking happening, man. Great. You guys tore down a perfectly serviceable fucking building to build a new building that was basically a borderline fucking boondoggle, and it looks like Megatron's asshole.
You got to give them credit, though. There's a lot of people, a lot of humans in that stadium dressed like seats.
Oh yeah, fair enough. I mean, that's a hell of a feature for a building, is to disguise. Yeah. Sometimes I guess the fans get embarrassed, so they want to disguise themselves as empty seats. Pretty good.
Having Chick-fil-A in there when Chick-fil-A is not open on Sundays was a nice touch, also.
I mean, that's the sort of architectural planning, conception, and design that truly makes them the envy of the league.
What about the roof that's a clogged toilet?
Yeah, but I don't know if they still. Yeah, do they still have that problem?
And the pipe noise because their fans don't cheer. But it's the Superdome that's the dump.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think, guys, go invest more money in another fucking in another fucking building, like outside of the city, because you don't want to put anything in the city. Okay, you tear down Fulton County Stadium, and then you build the new baseball stadium way the fuck out of town, because Lord forbid you put something in the city. And then, I mean, let me tell you, at some point, and this might have happened last year, I don't know, but the soccer fucking team draws pretty goddamn well, and those folks are plenty fucking lively.
They are. Atlanta loves their soccer team for some reason. I don't quite understand that.
Atlanta's a soccer town. They ain't a football town.
They've lost two hockey teams, by the way, because they were banging on New Orleans today. But here's a question, Dave, that I think is interesting about the stadium deal that the Saints have made. Would this deal be possible if Gayle Benson didn't own the Saints? And what I mean by that is, I don't know that if somebody would have bought the Saints for like $2 billion, that they would have been as amenable as she is to doing renovations on the Dome and extending out the life of the deal, because she's so tied to the community.
I mean, I think that's a fair point. I think if somebody else came in and bought the team, first of all, I think they would demand a new stadium. It would probably even be a part of, whatever deal they had to even acquire the team in the first place, that they would demand a new stadium. Probably have to have the taxpayers or Visitors Bureau, hotel tax or whatever, pay for it. Because, the new owner who has billions of dollars, he can't, or she couldn't afford to pay for it, or even chip in a little bit. So I mean, I think I think both sides are happy with just keeping the stadium, and I absolutely think you're right. If it was somebody from the outside, it's totally different. There's definitely a relationship between the Bensons and that whole organization and the state.
The renovation. The one thing I don't like about the renovations, Kevin, is why are they renovating the visitor locker room? Like, shouldn't they make that as awful as possible? Like, why?
Right. I think that. I think they're tearing up the carpet. I think they're tearing up the carpet and just leaving the cement floor. And I don't know. Maybe they'll paint the walls puce or something to really wear down morale.
What they ought to do is wallpaper it in the same wallpaper as the Greenbrier.
Greenbrier. Nice.
Make it happen, Sean. Make it happen.
Your cat liked that joke, Ralph.
Yeah, and the cat did. My wife.
My wife
is about this close to opening the door and telling that cat to get the fuck out and not come home. That cat is on a peeing rampage. It is not good in the Marlboro house, just let me say. So before we get to the worst Sean Payton moves tournament bracket and we continue that, John Georges bought the Times Picayune and fucking nuked it. Literally fired Kevin. Am I right? He fired everybody. Like, there's no one left. Like, they're like, 2 months, clean your shit out. Is there anybody left at the Times Picayune in 60 days?
Dude, I didn't see the I didn't see the specifics of it, but anything I saw on Twitter, I didn't see anything about anybody saying I was lucky enough to remain. I didn't see any of that. It was, hey, I'm done today, or my friend is done today, or I know this person, they could use a job, or it was people like hawking their own skills.
Yeah,
saying, hey, I'm getting fired, or I've been fired, but here's what I can do. Hire me. I didn't see anybody saying that they kept their job.
Yeah, I think it was 165 fired and like 65 editorial, which, I mean, I don't know how big the Times Picayune is. I know they've cut and cut and cut. That's a ton of people in the newsroom. But me and Andrew sort of talked about today, Dave, I think the Saints coverage that we get as fans is going to be appreciably worse now. What do you think of that hot take that I just threw out there?
Whew, that was hot. That was smoldering. So that was Boot Jolika spicy.
High flavors.
Yeah. I mean, I guess my answer to that would be with another question, and that question is why would it really get any better? I mean, seriously, what would be the motivation? What would be the motivation for either side really to get any better? Obviously the biggest thing is that you have one guy, one person, who owns both newspapers in the city, or even the city. And I don't know. It's tough because now there's no competition, and so we don't know what the motivation is.
Yeah.
So where's
Kevin?
the motivation, Bob?
We need more office space. I'm not going to play the worst day of your life because that's just mean. More like this.
piece of shit. He represents all that is soulless and wrong.
Can I say that about John Georges? Are we risking getting some of that sweet advocate money?
I mean, whatever he's doing. I don't know. He's doing what he thinks he should be doing. I mean, he's just expanding his empire. I don't blame him for that.
Yeah, I mean, buying out your competitors.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a thing.
Yeah, the thing is, I just worry.
Monopolies, every chance companies can get.
I just worry that you're always going to have a bunch of young reporters covering the Saints, and it's fine now. Like when they're rolling and winning 11 and 13, and this year maybe they'll win 11 to 13, 14 games again. So like you don't need necessarily great reporting when they're good because they're good. No one cares about like locker room insider jargon or what's going wrong or whatever. It's when they suck that you need experienced reporters that know how to ask the questions, that have connections within the organization to get answers, that know how to ask the right questions, that aren't afraid to ask the tough questions. That's when you need like good reporting. And I just worry that in 3, 4, 5 years or whatever, when the Saints hit a lull or a bad spot, you're gonna need.
No, that's never gonna happen. They're gonna be in the playoffs for the next 50 years in a row. It'll be fine.
I like your positive attitude, Juge, but I know that depressing Drew Breesless hell may be right around the corner. All right.
So like, is Jeff Duncan gonna stay, or what's going on?
He's toast, I think.
Dude, everybody is gone. Gonzo.
So who's
I mean,
left?
they can, but they did say they could apply for new jobs, right?
Yeah, I think they can interview for their job.
You can re-interview for the job they just shit can you for. What is it you say? What is it you say you do here, Bob? So let's get to the bracket, which is just amazing. We still have the back half of the bracket to do, so let's get to it. The number 2 seed, Jarris Bird, versus the number 15 seed, Olin Kreutz. Kevin, who you got?
I'm going to say Jarris Bird.
Yeah, this is too easy.
Jarris Bird, Kevin? I mean, Andrew?
So Bird agreed to a 6-year, $56 million contract that included $28 million guaranteed. He played the first 4 games of the 2014 season before suffering a torn lateral meniscus knee ligament tear during practice. And the following day, the team announced that he was placed on injured reserve. He was then released on March 10th of 2017 after producing a whopping 3 interceptions in 3 years, 2 of which came in one meaningless game against the Bucs. So, Olin Kreutz almost punched Drew Brees. I really hate him because he quit on the team as a captain. So, it's funny. If you ask me which guy I dislike more, I would actually say Kreutz. But Bird was the worst move, for sure.
All right, here's my reason for picking Bird. Jarris Bird is the Sean Payton's worst decision tournament bracket, number 2 overall seed. The Saints gave Bird the richest safety contract in NFL history, thinking he was the final piece to a Super Bowl. Bird was the final piece for the Saints' Super Bowl dreams, like that exercise bike you bought late at night was the key for you to get in better shape. The only difference is you could hang dirty clothes on that $800 bike. Bird was completely useless, except for that one time when he collided with Keenan Lewis so the Titans could score a touchdown. It's got to be Bird. And the thing is, I think, guys, am I wrong about this? That's the only time in this podcast history that breaking news has actually happened while we were recording the show. And it was my wife.
It was my wife that told me. While we were doing the show.
My wife.
And it turned out to be a disaster. So it's a clean sweep with.
Man, we were excited that night though. Man, were we excited.
We were. Let's see. We
were also really stupid.
This is a good one, Dave. Number 7, Stephon Anthony versus number 10, Delvin Bro's leg. Who you got?
I don't know. Stephon Anthony, I think, was way worse. He was. Did they trade up for him?
They did not, but I mean,
he was one of 2 first-round picks, though, right?
He was the Jimmy Graham first-round pick. Yeah. They got Unger and the first-round pick for Jimmy Graham.
Yeah, I mean, just what a disappointment, Like if the Saints had used that pick and gotten somebody really great with that pick, it would have made the Jimmy Graham trade even that much better. I still think it was a good trade. But
Anthony should be our middle linebacker right now. We have an awesome young linebacker on this team, and it should be Anthony.
Well, that was the plan.
Anthony kind of had a weird rookie year where, for the first part of it, he had a bunch of tackles, so it kind of looked kind of okay on the surface, right, Andrew, if I remember that right?
Yeah, no, I mean, his rookie season, I think we all felt it wasn't the best. He made some mistakes, but he's learning on the job, and he's a talented player.
Wasn't he the first person ever to score? Wasn't he the first defensive player ever to score on a 2-point attempt?
Yes. No, it was on a blocked extra point that he ran back, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was. But that was the first time you could do it. So he was the first player to ever score 2 points on a return.
I mean, it's bad.
Well, that was worth the pick. That was worth the first-round pick.
But I feel like Kevin. I feel like Delvin Bro's leg is a very solid pick to win the whole thing. I mean, Delvin Breaux's leg, it's just it is shorthand for like everything that's wrong with the Saints medical staff. I mean, I remember the Saints were so fed up they were leaking to Florio that they were going to trade him because they were so mad that he wasn't practicing. But in fact,
so he had come back from a broken leg, and basically the Saints diagnosed him as having a leg contusion, which is basically a bruise, and two separate orthopedic doctors. He took the X-ray, took the MRI, and the two separate doctors, orthopedic doctors, are like, no, you're fine. It's just a contusion. So basically, all right, well, sit out for a couple days, see how it feels, and then go back out there. So he goes back out there, and he's like, Coach, my leg is still killing me. I can't walk. And I'm sure at this point, Sean Payton's being like, dude, the doctors, you have a bruise. What's wrong with you? Go out there, play. It's nothing. Rub some dirt on it. You're fine. And so he goes out there. Like every 3 days, he would go back to practice, and he'd be like, I can't do it. There's something wrong with my leg. So then he goes and gets a second opinion outside of the Saints orthopedic staff. And the guy looks at his X-ray, and he's like, dude, your leg is broken. So the Saints finally get a third opinion, and it confirms that he does, in fact, have a fractured fibula. And so the Saints end up firing the two doctors over the misdiagnosis, and he gets placed on injured reserve like 6 weeks after his initial injury where he broke his leg.
I couldn't find it because my old laptop is just a disaster. But Dave, I think that was your initial rant of fuck the Saints doctors, they don't know what they're doing. And I remember you ranting about something about leeches and goat blood or something like. And I saved it, but I couldn't find it on my old computer. I was trying over the weekend. But you've been beating this drum for years and years.
That's a shame. I was about to say I think I've been saying it for even
longer than that.
Yeah, before that. Yeah, I mean, I have been beating the drum. So, but at the same time, is this? I don't know whether it's a Payton screw up or whether that's a doctor screw up or a Benson screw up because of Ochsner or whatever. I don't know. I mean, I have no idea, really who's to blame with this. Well,
I guess if nothing else, he definitely went over the top being a dick to Bro.
Yeah.
But and then leaked that they were going to trade.
Vote for Stephon Anthony just because I think that was just such a disappointment, and had it worked out differently and had it gone the other way, this team could be further along than where it is now.
Yeah, I mean, I feel bad for Delvin Breaux because he's back in Canada killing it. But I mean, I don't know. I think I gotta go. I think I gotta go Stephon Anthony. Kevin, who you got?
I'm gonna go Delvin Breaux.
Coming in hot there, Kevin.
Yeah, coming in a little hot.
Kevin,
so what's the score here?
1-1.
So wait, who did Kevin pick?
Delvin Breaux.
Delvin Breaux. I picked Stephon Anthony.
Okay.
I went the other way.
All right, Dave. Dave, did you pick Anthony?
I did, yes.
Man. Yeah, this is tough for me. I mean, I think it's one of those things where you look at the next linebacker that was picked, and it was McKinney, who ended up being pretty good for the Texans. And then the next linebacker picked was by the Saints again. It was Kikaha. And then the next linebacker picked was Eric Kendricks, who was a stud, and it continues to be a stud for the Vikings. So if you look at the four linebackers picked in that window, the two that blew were the Saints guys, and the other two, they were pretty good players, were the two guys that the Saints could have picked, but decided to pass on. So,
God,
I think that's probably why I pick. I mean, McKinney just made the Pro Bowl, and let's see, Kendricks was on the All-Rookie team. So, yeah.
Is Anthony still in the league? Is he still sucking up a roster spot for the Fish?
Let me check. I don't think his rookie contract. No, he's a free agent. Wow, he does not have a job.
All right, who's left to vote? He does
not have a job.
Are we gonna have a 2-2 tie? Or is it 2-2? I lost count. So it's 2-2. So Andrew, throw it out to the people in the chat, in the chat on the live stream.
Ralph, you're starting to be like in a watering hole again.
Wait, who did Andrew vote for?
Stephon Anthony.
Oh, then it's 3-1.
No, it's 3-1.
No.
So, am I in a watering hole?
Not hear us?
No, Ralph, your audio sucks. Number one, and secondly, Stephon Anthony won.
So. All right, I will. Can you hear? You guys can't hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Is it bad?
He's on a delay.
I'm on a delay. Are you? All right. I'll stay with us, everybody, in the live stream. I'm gonna.
I can hear you now.
No, we can hear you, but you're delayed.
No, that's
not that bad.
not that bad. All right. Well, I don't know what's going on. My Skype says I have a very poor connection. I didn't do the dial-up music, Andrew. I apologize. It's the one sound effect that I forgot.
Yeah, no shit.
Yeah. I think that might be it.
How about now? Am I back? Am I back good? No. All right. I will.
Ralph, you sound like you just had a stroke.
All right. Everybody, I apologize. Give me 2 minutes. I'm going to reboot the thing. What was the vote on Stephon Anthony?
I think it was 2-2.
So are we still recording? Like, will you be able to post this?
I'll put it together and figure it out.
Good luck with that.
Yeah.
So
it's Ralph, are you listening to me?
Yeah.
You can hear me.
Yes.
You understand the words that are coming out of my mouth.
Yes.
It is 3-1. Stephon Anthony. Delvin Bro was never tied. He lost. Stephon Anthony has advanced. 3-1.
All right. So what's the next one?
Not 2-2. We got Spags and Charles Brown.
Milk was a bad choice.
That was pretty good.
Good time.
So,
Yeah, you're all off now. You're all fucked up.
I know. So start us off, Dave. Start us off.
So we've got Steve Spagnuolo, defensive coordinator for the New Orleans Saints, 2012, during Sean Payton's suspension, versus Charles Brown, the turnstile they call the left tackle. I'm going to go with Charles Brown just because, I mean, Spags was in here 1 year, then he was gone. He only did 1 year's worth of damage. Although, it was at the time the worst defensive performance in the history of the NFL, but he wasn't really hired by Payton because that was Payton's suspension year. So I'm going to go with Charles Brown.
No, he was hired by Payton. You can't go with that. I mean, Payton made that call, but I don't know. I gotta go Spags. I mean, Charles Brown. Yes, he was bad, but he was a second-round pick, so it wasn't like he was a complete bust. And it's not like he got Drew Brees murdered. at any
No,
point.
he was a complete bust, and I'm pretty sure he was responsible for Breeze hurting his knee that one time.
God damn it,
But-
Andrew, you and your fucking Rain Man memory.
Yeah, but Sean Payton thought he was cute. He hired Greg Williams. It got the Saints a Super Bowl, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna go get the next hotshot defensive coordinator. I'm gonna do that move again after Greg Williams, and Spags is gonna come in. He's gonna save the day." And what he got was the worst defense in NFL history. So how could this not be Spags?
Yeah, it's got to be Spags. It's got to be. Kevin?
I'm going Spags.
Interesting.
So was it 3-1? I lose track.
Yep.
That's correct.
The interesting
Counting to 4 is difficult for Ralph.
It is. It's very difficult. The one thing that
All right, Kevin, put it in the chat. It's 2-2. See who.
The interesting thing about Spags that I will always remember is I remember walking out of the season finale in 2012, and I think Carolina dropped 55 on them. And I was like, my mom was like, they got to fire everybody on defense. And I was like, they just did that. They can't have another defensive coordinator. They can't start all over again. And my mom was like, why not? And I was like, I don't think they're going to fire him. And they, sure as hell, the first day Sean Payton was back, they fired him.
I picked the wrong week to quit sniffing glue.
Yeah, I did. This podcast is such a clusterfuck. We apologize to the live stream. I don't know. I'm going to have to string together like 6 fucking files. This show has died so many times. So, Dave, before I start talking like a speak and spell, get to the last bracket, the last matchup of today.
We've got the number 6 seed Jason David against the number 22 seed Olindo Mare. The kicker Olindo Mare. And if I'm going to go first and I'm voting, this is a no-brainer. We've got to go with Jason David. He was excuse me. He was a disaster in the secondary. Nice as can be, but statistically he was worse than no player being out there.
Well, except for Brandon Browner.
So and the Saints hung on to him for years. What, 3 years, 4 years?
Yeah, way longer than they should have.
Yeah, I mean he was just a constant fodder and topic of discussion and debate for many years. So I'm going with Jason David.
I mean, it's got to be Jason David for me. I mean, and the thing is, I like Jason David, and I defended him more than most people just because, as bad as he was, that dude never, ever hid from the media once, and he just sat there in front of his locker like a guy who was me. He looks like me right now as I think about this disaster of a podcast with all the audio work I'm going to have to do. His eyes are just glazed over, but he did it every single week no matter how bad he was. So, but it's still him. Who's next to vote?
I'll vote next. So Kevin hates giving up draft picks. The Saints gave up a draft pick for both players, actually. They plucked Jason David from the Colts, and I believe gave up a third-round pick to get him.
Yeah, he was a restricted free agent.
Maybe I think it was a third. And the Colts declined to match. So the Saints get a 5'8" corner and play the Colts in their first game after acquiring him in the regular season. And Peyton Manning proceeds to put up 41 points on the Saints by throwing to Jason David every play. In what was a foreshadowing of what was to come of Jason David at cornerback for the Saints. And, it's one of those things where when the team that just gave him to you is lighting him up, probably not a good sign.
He did score a touchdown that game, though.
He did, on a fumble return, yeah. which was the only Saints touchdown in that game. So how about that for irony? But
so you take the good, you take the bad, you take them all, and there you have Jason David.
Yep. And Olindo Mare also, I think it was a 6th-round pick they gave up for him. He was also awful, but I mean, to me, this is no contest. Jason David.
Kevin, who you got?
Clean sweep.
It's good to be the king.
So Jason David is the king of terrible. So that wraps.
Would you guys agree that Jason David was probably more hated than Brandon Browner somehow?
Ooh.
Like I personally dislike Browner worse. Like I dislike Browner on a higher scale, of course, but I feel like maybe Saints fans were so desensitized to horrific cornerback play after Jason David that maybe Browner didn't seem as bad as he actually was.
Well, for me, like looking back on it now, this is like, what, 10 years ago now? More than that, 11, 12 years ago, which is crazy to even think about it. But to me, it wasn't – after it got past a certain point with Jason David, I wasn't mad at Jason David. I was mad at the Saints because they just –
how could you keep putting this guy out there?
Yeah, they never did anything about it. They never upgraded. They never improved it. He was still the best option they had, which was ridiculous. So after the second year or the third year, it's kind of like, well, and again, like Ralph said, and Jason would always be forthcoming. He'd always talk to the media. And so it got to the point where it was like, I don't even really blame Jason David. I blame the Saints because they're stupid enough to keep putting him out there.
The one thing I will say about Jason David, too, is the Saints went looking for a corner in free agency and struck out with, like, their first 4 choices. Like, they tried to get Roddy Hood. They tried to get, like, 3 other dudes, and it didn't work out. And instead of being like, we can't get a corner in free agency, we'll just have to go to the draft or something else. Like, they were like, no, we're getting a goddamn corner, and we don't care if Jason David is at the bottom of the list. He's a corner. Sign him up. And it didn't work.
He did make nice plays on the ball when he wasn't biting on double moves.
No, he had 5 interceptions one year for the Saints.
I mean, and I don't think he was at the bottom of the list that offseason. I think he was at the top of the list that offseason. I think he was a pretty desirable cornerback free agent that year.
He was moderately desirable. I mean, if he would have been really good, I don't think the Colts would have had a 3rd-round tender on him, though. Like, you know.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
So before we get out,
not many people usually make offers on restricted free agents.
Before we get out of here, I want to make 2 announcements regarding the podcast. First of all,
Sybians machines also come with premium silicone attachments or classic Sybian attachments in all different like shapes and dimensions and sizes. So just something to keep in mind, because you're going to spend the $1,245 on the actual machine, but then you're going to want to also have 1 or 2 of these different attachments based on
you want to accessorize.
Yeah. I mean,
it's proprietary, so that's where they get their money.
Once you've gone into 4 figures for a sex toy, you need to go the whole way. You know? Just saying. But besides that, I wanted to say,
my wife.
I got everything shipped. So people, if you signed up by May 1st, or we're already on Patreon at $3.28 or higher, you're getting a koozie. You should get it in the next however long it takes the mail to get from Houston to wherever you are. So you're getting a koozie. The other thing is Patreon today changed the rules, and we can no longer do raffles of like you donate a certain amount and you get a chance to be in the patron spotlight, or you donate a certain amount and you can be on Saints Drunk History. For the Saints Drunk History, I just changed it. You donate $25 for 8 months. You get your own drunk history. We've already done with Jim and John their drunk histories. We're going to do with Chris and Alex and Michael. We've got all those to go. So you guys, you're going to get your drunk history. The patron spotlight, I like doing it. We've done it with like 4 or 5 international people from New Zealand and Ireland. I can't offer it on Patreon, but I'm still going to pick a name every month, and we're going to do it because it's super fun and people like them. But just know that like that disappeared. So that disappeared as like a patron benefit because I can't offer it to you. You can't do raffles anymore. But know that it's still there. I'm still going to do it every month. It's like the McDonald's secret menu. It'll still be there for you, just so you know. So, everyone.
Or the Taco Bell secret menu, because I just learned that they discontinued Meximelts, which was very disappointing. I don't know if you saw my post on Facebook, but
here's a question.
It's been on the fucking menu for like 30 years, since like the 80s, and then they just all of a sudden discontinue it.
Here's a question: where does this show rank in the biggest shit shows we've ever had? As far as technical,
I brought up the Drew McGarry show a couple times.
I mean, well then, yes, that was bad.
This is up there.
This is up there. I mean, the thing is, though, I don't think it'll sound bad for people that are listening later. I mean, it was a disaster for people on the live stream, and we had to shut it down. But I don't think it'll sound that bad because once I get into editing it, it's going to take me an hour to put it together. But I don't think it'll be that bad edited, and people won't notice it that much. But the poor live stream people. The live stream was like the Titanic. It just drowned and no one lived. So I apologize. I think I know what the live stream issue was. So that's it. So, but everybody, thanks for donating again. Become a member at $7. But you're getting all your stuff, your koozies, your magnets, whatever you got. We all ship them out. We appreciate your support. For Dave, for Kevin, for Andrew. Until next week, the bar is closed. Dave, should they sign up? What should they sign up? It was $1,200 for the Simeon?
It's like $1,245.
I'd do it.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer.